All right, welcome back, everyone, to Funsie.
Yeah, Funsie podcast.
This
Yo,
is
boy,
episode...
Jay Millie be back.
He's back.
Back's on.
Was not here, and now he's back. This is episode 14, I believe. That's like 3.5 months. So we've been going strong. And like I said, we're gonna be doing this for the next 5 years, baby.
These are like my boys now. Coming into this, I knew them, but then anything that you do with someone long enough, I mean, you learn so much more about them, and then you can like make jokes that other people may not even understand,
it's like
and it's a good time.
We're on a date every Monday, just 3 boys going on a date. Let's go.
Yeah, still nervous.
Talking to the homies. But that's all I gotta say. Sajko, take it away with all you want.
Let me share
Jay.
my. It's a really short story. It's funny. Well, actually, can I say this? Whatever. Never mind. I won't say it. You guys continue.
Wait, stop, dude.
No, you have to now. This is crazy.
Can you stop, dude. Yeah.
Well, it was just about how 2 episodes we had Garrett on from Hooligan.
Yep.
And then you literally exposed how much his house is worth.
Yep.
Dude.
Yeah, and you did it like multiple times. And when I was in Denver this last week, which I guess we'll talk about again, I was talking with Jesse from Trash Panda, and eventually we'd like to have him on, and I think he'd like to come on. But he was like, as long as you he essentially said Ben can't mention my house price, and I just thought it was so funny. He wasn't
funny.
serious, but he was just joking.
No, that's
he listened to it, and he was like, Ben's gonna say my house price on the pod, and I was like, that's so funny.
That's funny. That is really funny. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know where Jesse lives. I didn't know it was a big deal.
Would.
I thought it was like, dude, if I had a house that was worth a lot, I'd want people to know. I wouldn't never bring it up, but
really?
Yeah, why not? It's kind of it's like a little flex. I own a house and it went up $200,000 in appreciation. I didn't think anything of it because
it's like talking about your salary though. People it's just not something.
Yeah, well,
you do, really.
salary's I think salary's different because it's just exactly how much you make. How Garrett could have bought that house for $1 and it could have been worth. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's I didn't, but obviously you guys thought, but it's funny. I'm not. It doesn't matter, but
I mean, as long as Garrett didn't care, and I don't think he did, it doesn't matter.
And that's why
I think there's a lot of people that would care.
That's why I was able to say it, because I know Garrett. I mean, Garrett's one of my good friends, and I know Garrett, and he's told me I was I knew he wouldn't have cared. So that's what I'm saying. Obviously, I wouldn't expose Sajko's. I probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't want me to. So.
You own a house, Sajko?
Well, that's because I live in an apartment.
Okay.
Exactly. Boom. Got him.
Well, yeah,
no,
exactly.
I live in my parents' house, so still. So you guys are free birds. Anyways,
so
yes,
that
Jesse.
That implies that Jesse listens to the podcast?
Yeah, he's listened to a few episodes. I don't think he's listened to everything.
Dude, there's
I talked
someone
to him
else.
the other day.
I was going to say there's someone else. There's someone else that we found out that listens to the podcast as well. And Ben shared it as I was on hole 18 during the Hooli Flex.
Simon told me that he listened to the Brandon Sides podcast. So Simon, if you're listening to this, shout out. We appreciate it. You're probably not listening to this, but if you are, thank you. He said he just likes listening to lesser known pros. So I think that's kind of a cool advantage that we have. We can get these pros that are our friends, and get people to know them more. So I think that's why he tuned in.
Right.
Yeah, I talked to Jesse this week. He said he wants to get on the podcast. He was he listened to the whole thing with Garrett. So because Garrett was in Colorado and they were trying to link up, but Garrett was
right.
4 hours away or something like that, something crazy. And then he went to New Mexico. So, but yeah, Jesse,
Dang,
if you come on
vacation forever.
Well, that's what he does. So it's a super long, 3 to 4 week vacation in his trailer with his family. It's his thing that he does every
legendary.
year.
Respect.
But yeah, Jesse, if you come on, I won't expose your house worth. Even though in Denver, I'd probably it's like above 500. Just saying. Anyways, all right, let's get to the real topics of you in Denver, right, J Mill?
Yeah,
Tell
please.
us.
Yeah, I was this week, or I guess last week, I was off. As some loyal podcast listeners may know, I was not in the podcast building per se, and I was on vacation in Colorado. And so on the front end, I stopped in Denver, obviously, because I have to. Not really, but I stopped at Trash Panda and got to hang out with Jesse. We played Johnny, which is a really well-known course, Johnny Robbie in Colorado, and it was a lot of fun.
Right there on the desk?
Yeah.
As one does.
Anyways.
It's my wife's. And so if you don't know, Johnny Roberts is just a really fun like pitch and putt course, and it's like an ace run on every hole, and that's just the style of disc golf I like. I prefer like a really fun course where I can birdie every hole, not like the Pro Tour style. That's just me. I have more fun doing that. Yeah, it's just better. So did that, got an ace doing that, saw some cool stuff at the TP shop, stuff that will be revealed soon. And then I spent the week in Estes Park, Colorado, which is right outside the Rocky Mountain National Park. And there's a few good courses there. There's this one at the YMCA of the Rockies, which is like a fun, it's like a medium style course. Like it's not beginner, but it's not like super hard. And there's 3 holes. The course was dated by these holes because they were par 4s, but they were 380, 400 feet. And so I eagled all 3 of them at different times when I played the course. But that was a fun experience. I was like, yeah, this course was probably designed back when people only threw AVRs or whatever they threw back then. And then there was another course called Lake Estes, which is on a golf course. And I went out and played it once, and I shot -15, which was wild. And that's actually the course record, and I just casually did it. I was actually perfect through 12 holes, and then I lost it, which was sad. But I did have an eagle, so I'm kind of like Paul Macbeth in that sense, where I couldn't do it naturally. But it was a lot of fun. Great trip. Yeah, that -15 was a 272 on UDisc, so whatever that translates to.
Yeah, how do you get a 300? Like what? Like you gotta shoot 18 on Maple Hill. It feels like 18 down.
Yeah,
something crazy like that.
But it was a good trip. Content was, I filmed some content and had fun, relaxed.
Dude, and you was that your first time meeting Bedanza?
Oh yes, I did. I totally forgot to mention that. Yeah, that was the first time I hung out with Bodanza in person. Bodanza's a great guy. He's exactly like he is on camera. We played around a disc golf casually, and then I hopped into his video for like 2 holes. So go check it out if you want to.
Yeah, we love Bodans. Hopefully he comes up again for Glitch Worlds or something like that. That was fun. He shot a lot of content, bro. Honestly, like, dude, I respect Bodans because. So I was out filming yesterday with KK. If you guys know KK, Music and Disc Golf. He makes those silly little songs about disc golf that are actually pretty sick, and other challenges, stuff like that. So I'll just give you a preview. We're making a song together for a reel. But, dude, it took like 2 hours of just sitting there waiting for people to pass and stuff like that. And that's why I have respect for Bodanza because, like, bro, like, I'm sure he's streamlined by now, but he probably when he's recording, it probably takes him a lot longer to play disc golf. And I think that's some, like, calculated thing that people don't really realize. Like, if you bring a camera on the course, expect to, like, be out there and not really be able to focus.
Well, I'm pretty sure Foundation records like at sunrise. Like, at least for me, I always record when I know there's not going to be a lot of people on the course, or like I go to a course that not a lot of people play.
Yeah.
so that I don't have to necessarily worry.
Yeah. I was saying more like even I'm saying like if he's playing, we had to stop. That's why I took Fair. But I'm saying like if I bring a camera out just to record me playing, it takes like at least an hour and a half more. I mean, Jay Millie, we played that 9-hole together, and that took. We were supposed to finish 18. It took forever. What I'm just saying, like people don't realize like how much kind of like more effort it is to bring a camera out, and like sometimes it's just so annoying. But he does it all the time, and that's what I'm saying. I respect that.
I actually got to meet Anthony yesterday for the first time. This was on FaceTime though. I didn't go all the way out to Colorado just for that. He we've been trying to talk for like the last couple of weeks, and then man was in the middle of doing his ace not like challenge, but he didn't like fulfill like the circuit challenge or win. So I think one of his punishments was to ace. So he was like taking a break from that for a minute, and yeah, I got to talk with him for like a half hour, and exactly like you said, just exactly how he is in his videos. Easy to joke around with, just good dude.
He told me that he's gonna talk to you.
Yeah. I don't know if those are things that I am able.
Yeah, no,
to
let's
talk
not
about
talk.
yet.
Yeah, no, let's not talk about it on here. But cool stuff.
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
Bonanza, what the heck, man? Call me. I want to call, dude. Yeah, we haven't.
This is Ben saying this, and then right before Ben comes on, I mean, he basically is like, I have to do a thing, but I can't tell anyone what it is, which is fine.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Anywho, Bonanza, call me.
Yeah, please. Ben, the Huli Flex. The Huli Flex, man.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Huli Flex. Yeah, I'll just intro it, and then you can talk about your experience, and then because the biggest thing we want to bring this up is because one, Hooligan Disc, shout out Hooligan Disc, use code Ben10 on their website. They're releasing the cash in 2 days, and Primo Glow Cash is gonna be amazing. It's my favorite approach. So this was Sajko's first rated round of the year. You know, we know Sajko preaches the casual, a line, but we finally...
I don't try to be preachy about it. It's just more so what I enjoy in disc golf.
No.
Sajko's a casual.
I wasn't saying
For
you were
sure.
preaching about it. I was just like,
anyone
over
that
the top,
competes
like,
is disgusting.
So we got him out there to do the flex, which is awesome, and that's the main storyline here. But I'll set it up. So the Hooligan Disc Flex at Maple Hill, I just kind of got it set up. You know, I'm sponsored by Hooligan. As a sponsored player, you want to help them out. And AMK, and I was like, dude, what better way to get some plastic into people that don't really know about Hooligan's name or disc by doing a flex. So I asked at Maple Hill, and I have a good relationship with Ryan and Steve, fortunately. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And I decided to do it on the Diamonds layout because there's never been, which is the FPO layout if you play Maple Hill, because there's never been a rated round or rated flex on there. And I was like, dude, frick, sorry, I'm having a brain. I'm trying to not say like. It's so hard, guys. It's so hard. Now you're gonna notice I say like every day.
Yeah, like
so
literally things like that.
It's just so hard to like actually not say like. Anyways, so we set up the flex, and we got like 64 people to sign up, which was awesome. All the AMs got a dime and a vibe. And shout out Maple Hill for making it happen. Shout out Garrett for trusting me to kind of like put that event on, even though for up in the Northeast where, you know, it is scary. Your brand's on something and something you don't really have control over. So I appreciate that. But it went over very smoothly, and a lot of people enjoyed it. And so I've heard. But yeah, it was just a simple flex. But it was at Maple Hill, which is really cool. And now it's kind of their first partnership collab. So hopefully we'll see more from that. But Sajko, take it away. You played your first rated round, and you did.
I did okay.
Decent, yeah.
I did okay. So the day before, I went to go practice because I'm like, oh well, this is happening, so I should probably go practice diamonds because I haven't played it in a while. And for people that don't know, the diamond layout is what FPO plays when they play the MVP Open. It is a difficult layout, but at the same time, very fair. Like you go to all the holes and you're like, I have a chance. I have a chance to
You
like
can
birdie or
birdie.
par these.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're off, you're like taking big numbers.
What's
That's
the score you're looking for? Like, if you're like, oh, I'm playing well, what am I
I was
looking
playing for par. I was playing for par
Okay.
because par is 980 rated.
Yeah.
In my practice round, I was feeling pretty good. I guess as one does. I shot one down, which I was pretty excited about because I wasn't trying to
Sheesh.
push really, just kind of throw and just like when the opportunities would come, I would go for it. In the tournament though, the hole one was fine. Yeah, like clear water. Got the par, and then holes 2 through 6. I kind of noticed like when I'm under pressure, I kind of like fluff my shot so they're less committed.
Mm.
They are online, but they probably come out with like 60 to 70% of like normal power. So if you're like trying to like get a disc to fly a certain way or flip, it's not doing that. But then so I took like a couple of bogeys and whatnot there. And then after that I got more in tune, and I was, like I said, I was hitting my lines, but I was coming up short. So it's like I wasn't playing good, but I wasn't
You
playing
weren't
bad
committing.
at all.
I know exactly what you're doing because I do it too. It's like the tournament jitters set in, and then it's like, okay, I have to do this. I know what I have to do. But then as you're like throwing, you're like, oh my goodness, I can't hit the trees to the right, can't hit the trees to the left. So then you just like kind of undercommit to like kind of hope it kind of passes by. Obviously, you're not thinking about this, but it's like subconsciously when the shot requires commitment. So I feel like everyone in disc golf understands exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like my putting was really good. My scrambles were really good. So like anytime that I was messing up or not exactly where I wanted to be, I was getting it under the basket. But the thing that really hurt me is I wasn't getting birdies. I didn't get a single birdie. The one that I was like, oh, it's in the bag was hole 14, which is the like over the water shot that I almost aced before. I had put up on my Instagram, and I hit like the top band. I was like, oof. So yeah, nothing like really glorious, but I was very
you hit
lucky.
the top band on your drive?
No, I'm sorry. On my
First
putt,
story.
trying to
Oh,
for birdie.
I was like, holy cow.
No,
Yeah,
I
was
wish,
like,
dude.
what?
I can feel it on that hole though. I don't know. Like sometimes you just feel it on a hole where you're like, I'm gonna ace this one. Like that, the time will come for hole 14 diamonds.
Heck yeah. I'll get it
I was-
first though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude, you got to
gotta
come
fly
up here,
brother.
dude.
Yeah, I
we
wanna come up
gotta sidetracking. We should probably plan a trip for like next year or something like that, where we all meet up and do some
I'd be
content
down.
and do whatever. It'd be a good
Yeah.
time.
Probably sometime in like April.
I mean, good enough. Yeah, good enough for me, man. But I was very lucky.
I thought you were saying that because of the Disc Golf South or Disc Expo
Disc
South
East.
or
Oh, is that what you're? Oh, okay, all right.
Well, Disc South. Disc South, but that's gonna be next to you.
Yeah, I thought you were just
Oh, yeah.
making a joke. Never mind.
No.
Moving on.
I was just gonna say that very lucky to have like such a good card. So I was supposed to play with Ben, but then he let us know the day before that I guess he was like, Simon asked him if he could go out and record because around here we have a new course opening up. I think it's called, isn't it Mile Marker?
Mile Marker 63. Course is designed by
63.
him and Casey, like 15 minutes away.
Yeah. So you were asked to go out and do that. That kind of that conflicted with the time that we had chosen for the Flex tournament. So ended up playing with, shout out to Bottles, Romano, and Pete Daddy Mitchell. Just a bunch of dudes on Hooli. Really pleasure to play with them because it's exactly like this. Like talking about like Jay Milley, for example. Talked to them so many times. Feel like I know Jay Milley pretty well. Haven't met him in person. So it just like, it's that final like dynamic piece that like brings it together, and it was a pleasure. I mean, they're just easy to joke around with. We have like a similar sense of humor. The like non-committal part was just on my end, really. It's not like I was on some weird card or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
glad-
they're all hooligan members, so that was cool.
Right. Yeah, so I ended up tying for 6th out of like 13 or something like that in MA1. So nothing glorious, but I'm not mad about how I played, really. Yeah. What
Did
about
you,
Ben?
before you finished like competing, did you play MA1?
I don't know. I kind of just like guessed. I was like, I feel like I probably can compete in MA1.
Yeah, you're
You
definitely.
know what,
yeah,
you
you'd be
would've-
sandbagging MA2.
But yeah,
For sure.
I feel like MA1 definitely works because, like
No,
I said,
I'm not. Yeah, I think you're probably MA1, but I was just wondering, like,
mm,
what would you have shot in MA2? Would you have won?
No, I don't. That's what's funny is like MA2 and MA1 were not super different. I think
I know,
MA1
dude. I
MA1 scores were
swear.
like slightly.
Always happens like
I
that.
think like
Well,
the
it was a little
winning in
bit
MA1 was 2 under, right? And then I think
3 under,
winning
and
or,
then even was the winning, and
right. So they're like not super different.
but still, yeah,
That's
like
how it goes.
that's the thing.
Hmm.
People can have their days. I don't like.
Lots
I
of people
guess
in MA2 should be in MA1, in my opinion.
yeah. I think but that's PGA. Like they just gotta. I mean, it's tough to say because their guideline is just it's for worldwide. That's why it's so broad. So like it's not even up to the PGA. I shouldn't even say that. It's up to like the person, like how they feel. Because like the PGA allows you. I don't know the exact rating, but like up to it might be like 950.
930. It's 935.
935 to play in MA2, which obviously that's MA1 rating, but it's just up to the. So I understand why the PGA isn't gonna like, because you could be in the middle of like, it's so different. Like Northeast up here, it's way different than Texas. Like Texas, our ratings would be MA2, if that makes sense. Whereas here, like people move up quicker. Like it's so funny. I was looking at ratings from like a few years ago, like 6 years ago. People playing in MPO were like 920, 930, and it was like consistently. So, but that's just because like the need to move up. At a certain point, there's only so much funny money and amateur players pack you can get, in my opinion, before like. But especially back in the day, now that there's a lot more people to play with, it's different. Like I could stay MA1. If I just stayed MA1, like hypothetically, and never progressed, like I wouldn't mind it. But obviously, don't want to. But anyways, keep going, Zach.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what do you think? So playing safe, like I was trying to, I think is great when you're hitting your lines and everything like that, and then just taking opportunities when they come. Do you think I should have changed my game plan in that scenario, where instead, like, sure, I could commit more, but like, what does that really mean? Like, I was gonna say, so do you think I should like play more aggressively in a scenario like that, or would that just make me blow up more?
It depends. So
Like
for me,
once you were already down, or just like coming into the tournament as a whole?
Uh, I don't know. However, I guess you wish to interpret that, really, because
I'd say,
that's kind of how my golf is. I kind of just like a boring old man golf, as people love to call it, where like I'm like I don't really want to deal with the like BS of, like losing a disc more so than I care about getting a birdie, I guess.
um, yeah, I'd say it's tough. Some holes you want to play safe, but when I talk about committed, it doesn't mean aggressive. Like sometimes when I get aggressive, I just bomb. Like
Right.
or when I'm down, especially when I play MPO and I'm down by a lot from the leaders, even though I'm not even close to their rating, I'm like, okay, I have to get close to them. So then I try and do these hero shots. Commitment to me is just like, the line. Like let's say hole 6, for example. If anyone knows watching me hit hole 6, gold is like the hardest par 3, or it was. It's on the rock wall, forehand, and
Yeah.
the basket. It's just a straight tunnel shot. Hole 6 diamond is a little further up, a little easier. But that one, you have to kind of commit to your line. If you fluff it, you're going to go to left. If you don't, or you could hit an early tree and then kick. Commitment to me is just like, the pace that you have to do and you stick to that. It's not like like a little. It's like
Right.
all right, I see the line and you have to throw at a certain speed that So I don't know. I don't think you need to play. I think you played it well. It's just
Yeah, it's like the holes that I was fluffing, those were like where the bogeys came from. You look at the back nine, it was clean.
yeah, exactly. So there's your answer. You got to commit. Like that was my game plan 'cause I played in the flex too, obviously, just a later tee time. And that was my game plan. Just commit. To the like hole 3, I laid up just forehand, laid up, but everything else I tried to birdie. And let me tell you, it was one of the worst rounds of my life off the tee. I just was so confused. Everything was coming out early, but I was hitting every putt ever. It was like my ability switched that day, and I was scrambling an insane amount. Like if I didn't scramble and hit every putt, I probably would have been like +8, +9. It was kind of like one of those rounds where it was just like I couldn't do anything, but I was doing these hero shots and these hero putts. and I finished with +1, which is like 950, 57, something like that. I think it was 957 rated, which I was happy with because I was happy with +1 just because of how bad I was off the tee, but I was hitting like circle 2 and these weird scrambles that somehow I was getting done. So it was a weird bittersweet event for me. It was like, wow, I putted out of my mind and I scrambled really well, but I just couldn't get anything going. I think I don't even I think
what would you guys actually consider your strengths and weaknesses as like playing disc golf? Like,
Well,
do you know like your game like super well where you're like, okay, I know this is like my bread and butter. Like, what do you got?
Go ahead, Jamie.
So sad. I wanted to talk about your commitment thing still.
No, go
ahead.
for it.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
please.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is a
Cool.
fluid show. No
all
structure.
All right. My opinion on that, Sajko, and yeah, I mean, you said that your game is different than like you just play old man golf, but I don't know. Like before the tournament, I might have just been like first tournament back, foot on the gas. Like especially since
I guess you're right. Yeah.
I don't know, especially since you're just like
I'm not a tournament guy, so it's like,
you don't
who cares?
care about it. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's just in my head, it's just more fun to be like, push it, like either have the best tournament of your life or the worst tournament of your life. Because honestly, you're not looking to like get your rating super high and compete a bunch. Like the old man golf feels like, oh, I just want to cash, or like, I just want to play consistent over every tournament. And like, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of joy in it. But for me personally, like I would be like, if I'm going to play one tournament a year, or I'm going to play so like sporadically, foot on the gas. Like I'm doing everything I can to win this dang thing. And if I don't, I'm going up in flames. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, maybe I should do that next time. Maybe I can do like another flex and try that mentality instead. Although that was the only like diamond flex that we've done.
Dude,
yeah, it could be fun.
Here's a good video idea.
Yeah.
Old man golf versus like fully committed. Like play 2 tournaments where you're like, okay, I'm going to play super hesitant, like not run anything, just be like fine. And then the next tournament, like you're 100 feet out, I'm running the basket.
Distance driver, max blast at the basket.
Yeah. I think that'd be like I'd watch that video, especially since you don't care about your rating super much.
That's
I'm
true,
like in the same boat. Like part of the stakes of my videos where I play a tournament with only a glitch or play a tournament with only a tilt is it's a real tournament. And people are like, what is this guy doing? He's playing a real tournament with only a tilt.
Dude, those balls of steel.
Yeah, people like that. So I think do it, man. I mean, if you don't do it, I'll steal it. That's a good idea.
Hey, I mean, go for it, man. That's
I really like what Jay Milley was saying. I think that's a really good advice because I think when I play the worst is when I'm super like concerned, not about my rating, but about like hitting a gap or playing bad. But recently I've been switching my mentality. Like the reason I'm such a bad putter sometimes is because I'm just thinking like this can't go long. I can't have a comebacker. I have to make this. But the reason I putted so well is because I was just like, this tournament, not even gonna think about it at all. Don't care. I'm literally gonna look at a chain and whatever my body does to get it there, it's gonna do it. And that helped. And that's been my mentality switch with kind of off the tee and why I've been like, if you seen the earlier year, my ratings, I'm just saying ratings because like that's a good way to base kind of like how I played that event. Were like terrible, and then I was in a slump, and now they've gotten a lot better, and that's because I've just kind of like Jamie was saying, that mindset shift of like, I'm gonna commit to it. I'm gonna try my best, and if it kicks off and goes away, all right, it's all good. I just got to do my best from there, and I think it's less focusing on the result and more focusing on trying your best. And that's really helped me kind of overcome that nervousness and fear. And it's helped my game a lot because I could commit and hit first available. Whereas opposed to me not committing would have maybe put me like closer, like 60 feet away, but it's just better mentally just to commit to just look at a line and be like, okay, like ratings doesn't matter. And my theory is that if you don't care about ratings and you just go like for a lack of better words, like balls to the wall, not like being aggressive and being dumb, but just like going for it and like trying to play your best and like actually throwing. My opinion is that you'll get a lot better over time from that, rather than trying to preserve your rating and being like, oh, I gotta lay this up. I can't do this. Like, and to me, it feels like it's like one step back, two steps forward. But I think in my theory is that, I don't know if it's right, is that if you kind of play is as if like, you know, you're gonna go for it and commit to everything, and whatever happens, eventually you will start hitting those lines that you're not hitting, and eventually you will start making those putts that you're nervous about, or running and missing. Not nervous, running and missing. So yeah, that's
I don't think it was so much the mentality of playing safe golf that did me in. I think my timing was just off for like the holes 2 through 6,
bro.
really.
So
it was just like really off, and like I said, I wasn't like really getting into the pocket well. I think like my downfall and good quality is that I always am changing things to get better, but that's my bad quality, is I'm always changing things. So it's like I have to think about what I'm doing more, and it's not like muscle memory yet per se.
No, 100%, and that's why that's why I'm still so, part of the reason, not completely, like I'm only 928 rated now, even though like, you know, I've always had the distance. It's because I've always tweaked stuff constantly. So like mid tournament, when you're thinking about, okay, my elbow's got to be up, it's
you tweak your form mid tournament.
Oh, like for the past 3 years, not anymore. I'm finally at a place where I'm like comfortable and like kind of understand what is right and what feels right for me. But yeah, that's why I haven't really kind of shot like the best of best, is because like I'm like thinking mid tournament instead of the gap. I'm thinking like, okay, keep the elbow up, and I'm not saying that's the best thing to do. Like, I'm just saying it's what I did, and I think it helped me to get to a place where like now I feel comfortable, my timing is good and my distance is good. But on the downside, it was like, you know, it was kind of just like I was taking a slower ride to getting better by really focusing on how can I get my form good. Then hopefully I can accelerate after I get it good. So I'm hopefully starting the acceleration process now.
I do have like a little side, like a little caveat, or not caveat, like side thing off of that. Sure, I think like form and like where things are as you're throwing is important, and maybe I'm just talking completely at my booty on this one. But the thing that I feel like I noticed, because okay, for me going into something, whenever I would focus, I'd have like a day where I'm doing like all the things I focus on, and it's just flying out of my hand. And I'm like, oh, 425, easy, on a dime. And then it would be like the next day, 375. And it's like, what is going on, man? Like, I don't know what's going on right now. But the thing that I kind of realized is another like really important thing is it's like where you have tension in your body during like specific moments in your throw, combined with like where it's like your arm and leg is and stuff like that. Like that's a lot to think about, but it's something that I've found where I'm like, why is it different today? And it's like, oh, because you're not like firing with this at this time. Or maybe people don't think about it like that, but that's just how I feel comfortable thinking about things. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm just guessing. Does anyone like resonate with that at all, or am I like way too deep in my head?
I mean, I understand that. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's probably what it is. And like Bodanza's talked about this a little bit in his videos, the idea of like a lot of what disc golfers say is not like the core of like what is actually like good form. Like they're like create the power pocket, but there's like something behind that, like you're saying, like creating tension in your abs and your bicep or whatever it may actually be.
Yeah, to me,
like
it's like
that
my
should
shoulders.
That should be what you're focusing on, rather than like, I don't know, contorting your body in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting.
You had something to say, Jim Millie. I saw.
Go for it.
I saw you. You were like,
yeah. What'd you want to say?
I was just gonna say, I don't know, but maybe I'll receive some hate for this, but I've actually never thought about my form ever.
No, I don't think there's any hate. If anything, dude, that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
I mean, obviously, like when I started, my form wasn't what it was like, but
yeah, you were two-hand guru, bro. So you're telling me you didn't think about taking your second hand off?
Oh, yeah. I guess you've probably seen my video.
Bro,
yeah,
that was when you first started playing YouTube. You threw with two hands.
I did,
playing YouTube. That's what I meant to say. But yeah,
that's my form has just evolved to where it's at. Like I do think I remember at some point someone was like, "Don't throw with two hands," and I was like, "What?" And then I watched a video of Simon, and he kind of had his hand on his disc, and I was like, "Simon throws with two hands, or whatever." But then just slowly went away. Like what's really interesting is like I'll watch my form, but I'm never thinking about it when I do it, and I probably should be, at least to some level. But it's really interesting to just like go a year back, find a video of myself and look at my form and how it's different now than it was. Like I used to rotate on the heel of my foot when I like threw, and I think that's what I should be doing. But over the like last 6 months, I've been twisting on my toe and I can't fix it. And I think I know why.
I had the same problem. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, ready for this? Drop the bomb, dude.
Because me and you kind of had similar forms at a point. Like the essence of it, like where it's like reaching back and like getting that load. But for me, I would always go on my toe if I started pulling through with my hand. Meaning like the hand starts the motion. So like if I'm betting on trying to throw a hyzer and the hand starts it, I'm not really rotating because I'm just sending the hand through. But what really helped me rotate is, it's as opposed to starting the hand, I lead with my elbow now, and that helps my whole body. So like the thought, like you were saying, the thought of me leading with my elbow and me actually like doing it, it causes my left arm to come in as well, and my body rotates. And that's what makes me spin, because I'm spinning my upper body, and then the heel happens naturally. But I had the same problem. I could not figure out why I was not rotating on my thing. And for me, that was the fix. Is I would pull through my hand first, but now that I'm pulling through my elbow, so my whole body starts rotating just naturally, just because it's like that's like the lag that you want, like the starting with the elbow, and then you get the. I don't really think about the left arm. It just does it naturally. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if you already lead with your elbow, but that's what helped me a lot. And it's what helped me get way more distance, because I'm like just snapping it out.
Yeah, I just throw.
Well, so here's the thing.
I don't even.
There's both sides to it. Yeah.
I just I don't pick or like obviously I'm like, oh, I want to hit this gap, or I'm throwing on hyzer. But I've never been the type of person to be like, I'm gonna aim at that tree and try to hyzer right in front of it. I see my gap. I'm like, oh, I want this to be on a little bit of hyzer, and then I'm like, okay, throw. And yeah, like you guys are saying, there's some benefits to that, but I think there's like a middle ground. Like I definitely want to spend more time like working on my form or thinking about these things. But I do not, I mean, my opinion is I don't think it's healthy to work on your form or be thinking about your form during a tournament. That's when it should all
probably not
conglomerate. Like that's when you should just go.
It's not. I'm not saying it's not at all. It's just like my whole mindset was, so I think that's why you're so like a lot higher and like better than me, is because you're so used to like you've been doing the same thing over and over and not thinking about it. So you're so used to kind of like your release points and whatever and stuff like that. Whereas like I know when we played in like Texas, bro, I changed my form like 3 times that because I couldn't figure out my timing, and I was thinking about my form. And I'm not saying it's the good thing, but my whole mindset, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm just telling you, my whole mindset was like, I want to do everything I can to get a solid foundation so that I can really excel once I do. And I'm at that point. I'm at the point where I'm not thinking about my form mid-tournament. Maybe something feels off, like timing-wise, but I know it's like, I'm at the point, honestly, where my form, if I try anything else, it doesn't feel good and it's not correct. I think that 3 years was just a bunch of trial and error for me, where it's like, all right, let's see my elbow here. Let's see if I lead with my hand. Let's see if I put in my left shoulder a little faster. So it was a lot of like seeing what was the best thing for me. And I do think form is important, and that's why I can, like, throw 500 and really rip it. But on the inverse,
subtle flex.
on the inverse is that I changed it so much that I don't have this like this solid, even in tournaments, I don't have this. I need to now start creating the solid base that where I'm starting to sell. Yeah, where it's like I'm not thinking, and it's kind of like you, where like now I'm looking at my gap now. I'm not thinking like, okay, this needs to be happening. And it's funny, Josh from Ortho just texted me. He's like, "Looks like you're settling in, my boy." So meaning my like my form, and I'm like, finally. So it was just, that was just my whole thing. I always thought form was super important, and I think it is, but I think it's both. I think I kind of went to the extreme side. I think you got to figure out your form or work on it, but also, like you said, there's a middle ground where it's like, once you kind of like, you gotta find your own lane. You're not gonna be Gannon. You're not gonna look like Eagle. You're not gonna look like AB. Everyone's body does their own thing. That's why no one has the same form on tour. At a certain point, you have to just let your natural body take over. Once you get, there's a few like baseline, like what you have to do, but once you get those, you got to let your body take over. And I just went on this long journey because I wanted to figure out exactly what felt the best and was the most efficient for me.
Yeah.
Boom.
I was going to say, I don't know if anyone agrees with this. I think the word form is almost misleading when you get to a certain point, because I think you can have like buttery form, but not be throwing far, because I think like the last aspect is figuring out how and when to be explosive. And that's kind of what I've been thinking about lately, because I remember Gannon Burr talking about that, where it's like someone can like be doing all the correct things, but just not be like doing them properly with their body in a way to like project the disc forward. And that's kind of what I was trying to explain. And I think maybe Josh did a better way of explaining that, is like I was saying, I would always be doing the same things and they would still look good or like the same, but they wouldn't be flying the same. And that was very confusing to me.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
So trying to find out the relation between like when to brace the legs or when to be fast or when to come through with this. And that's like what I've been experimenting with lately. Because I mean, like the last month or so, I like look at stuff and I'm like, oh, it's like, I'm looking like kind of buttery on the backhand. But yeah, like day to day, it would be like, it just depended. But yeah, I don't know. Long tangent.
I don't know if I'm weird in thinking this, but I think that tweaking your form in small ways, or like, I think there's a lot of good things we can take from pros. They're pros, obviously. So like watching their form or like taking advice from them is a good idea generally. Like they play well. But like Ben mentioned, my opinion is that everyone has different dimensions. Everyone's stronger in different areas of their body. So everyone's form is going to be completely unique. Nicholas Antala with the like super high elbow, Anthony Barella throwing 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like strength plays a factor. Like how long your arms play a factor. How long your arms are play a factor. Like
flexibility
plays a factor. And so my opinion and how I got to where I am is I kind of just did what felt comfortable. Like starting out the gate, like I thought about, like I saw Paul McBeth throw a backhand standstill, and I didn't know how to throw a backhand at all. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to like watch it, but I'm going to like think through it in my head and try to throw like that. And so I tried to I kind of was just like, I bet he did it like this. And then I threw, and I birdied my first hole doing that, and I was like, okay, well, nice. And then you go and watch a video and I don't look like him at all, but it kind of felt like when I threw it, I was like, oh, I feel like I look like Paul McBeth right now.
Yeah, I'm disgusting.
Yeah. And so my opinion is that, like take form critiques, and like obviously there's things to correct, like, oh, if you're throwing nose up, stomp your front foot and pull through level. Like there's things to correct form like that, but I really just think it comes down to like repetitions and finding what works for you and like the like what's comfortable, because everyone throws completely different.
Yeah, and that's like the annoying cop-out answer, right? Where it's like, put in the reps, and everyone's like, no.
True.
What is the thing you're doing? I need to know the exact thing. And it's like,
how can I add 100 feet of distance with one simple trick?
There's not one thing, unfortunately.
It's like it's a combination. It's that, like, if you start throwing, like, if this feels comfortable to you, like throwing like this, you're just never gonna get good distance. So it's. I mean,
that's kind of how Calvin Heimberg throws, though.
Well, he brings it out. I'm saying, like, if you're like,
I mean, he brings it out, but like
no. He's like here. He's literally like here. But here's the thing that I think Calvin's a good point. On paper, Calvin has bad form. But
I agree.
His repetition has brought him to be nasty, where he hasn't.
And he rips.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's both sides, and everything that people say about form isn't going to compute in your head. In my opinion, it's all a feeling. People are going to say, you got to turn your hips at a certain point, and you're going to do it. But until you get that feeling, when I talk about like that tension in the back of my shoulders, I can tell you that's what you need. But if you don't feel it, it's once you get that feeling that I've had every time I've had that new feeling that's like, okay, this is what I've had a breakthrough. And it's funny that you said you visualized Paul Macbeth, Jay Millie, because Casey White told me that when he first started, he tried to visualize Grady Shoe's form in his head, and that's how he got his form. Obviously, it's just like his form's super unique, and it's gotten more. I think Casey is a perfect example of kind of like, kind of did what was comfortable, and then it's gotten more and more efficient and more quicker. But at first, like back in the day, people like he would have like the disc tucked and like kind of like running up, and now it's kind of obviously changed. But I think he's a good example of someone that just kept playing disc golf. So I think it's hard to say. I think form is important. I think if you want to copy anyone's form, Gannon-Buhr's the one to go to because he's such a form nerd himself and thinks about it a ton. But at a certain point, you're not going to look like Gannon-Buhr, and it's going to be reps, and it's just going to be keep playing. And yeah.
That's one of the coolest things about this sport, though, is you don't have to be doing the same thing as someone else, even though that is also like the frustrating aspect of it. Like compare Paul Oman to someone like Chris Dickerson. They both completely run up, if you can even call it a run up for Paul Oman, in absolute opposite ways. One is slow and methodical. The other one is just like, that man is sprinting up the tee pad.
Sprinting, yeah.
But he's also like one of the most accurate players on tour, potentially.
Yeah. Wow.
Like woods golfer. So just, whatever you want to do, just keep going with it and feel it out. That's an annoying answer, but boy, that was a long, not planned conversation, but it was cool.
Well, I like it. I feel like this is something that's good that people want to, and in my opinion, if you want to learn more about form, shout out Overthrow. I think me personally, like I know there's a bunch of coaches, but I think they're doing something really that resonates more with me and my form where I can understand like, okay, this is what they meant. It's so funny. I text Josh sometimes, like after watching a video of his, and I wouldn't understand it. And then like 6 months later, I'm like, oh, this is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, it might be like a timing, like skill thing where it's like, I'm not at a skill level yet where that makes sense to me. Or like you're so far past that you're like, maybe I already do that, but now I'm like, I'm not consciously thinking about it.
And with timing, it'll come naturally. Because I used to reach back, which is why I think I went on this form journey like insane, is because I used to reach back and be like so far away and then have to like bring my body back and then plant. If you can visualize that, like I'd be reaching back and then it would take another like a second for because I'd be so bent over and it'd take another second for my lead foot to actually get planted to throw. So my whole thing was I want to get to that lead foot planted to throw position right away because that's how you get the power. You're out and then for a split second you're not, and then you're back in. So that was really my biggest reason for going to form, is because my timing, I just didn't understand it, and that's why I always thought about it. And now I think going through it, a part of it was, yes, naturally my timing got better just from practicing and throwing, but also it was thinking about like how I can fix it. So that was my biggest thing, because I could show you guys videos where I would be reached back fully, and yeah, I got distance, but it was like capped, because like it wasn't a slingshot. I was holding it there and then getting to the position, then throwing. So yeah, that's my reasoning for it.
I have nice. I have a question for you guys, kind of based off of what you just said. How do you guys feel? This is a loaded question, and maybe we don't have to talk about it in depth or on the podcast, but how do you guys feel about YouTube disc golf coaches?
Ooh,
And I
I like
guess
this.
maybe to like go a little deeper, like have them talk about form or like tips or whatever all the time, but then when you see them actually throw, they're not like amazing, or when they play in tournaments they're only rated like 9-10 or something. Like how do you guys feel about like the YouTube disc golf coaches who, maybe don't actually back it up in their disc golf game, if you know what I'm saying?
I have a
Yeah.
long response to that, but
No.
so Sajko, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think coaching falls into the overall self-help umbrella. So whether you are looking at dieting or, yeah, like I want coaching for like my disc golf form, all things like that, there are so many books and different mantras and things like that that you can follow. And almost every single one claims to be like, this is the one. Like, people aren't doing this, but when you do, you feel great. And it's like, how do I know which one to choose? There's so many. It's like, oh, like even just applying to like, I'm kind of like a health nerd a little bit. So I'm going to apply this to like different diets where it's like, oh, I could do keto. This is the way to go. Or Mediterranean, like people live the longest on this. Or I don't think there's any clear answer, truthfully. I think they all mean well, and you just have to choose one at some point. Like find the one that aligns with your beliefs or like the things that you do the best, and then just follow that one. Like I don't think like, okay, again, going to apply food. You can't be keto and be like, oh dude, but I love grapes, so like I'm going to eat those and it's fine. It's like you can do that. So like bringing it back over to disc
You're
golf.
not in ketosis, my brother.
Yeah, exactly, bro. So like say you are watching overthrow and then you go over to like slingshot disc golf. You can't be pulling pieces from both of those, because both of these are not created equal in the sense that they're trying to apply two different lines of teaching. So you got to just like choose one or the other and then continue on with that one. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think some of them mean well. I think like a lot of other self-help things, I don't know. I'm sure there are people that are like cash grabbing to a certain degree and have like a program or classes and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like that's more so geared towards people that are starting out or just like want like the quick fix, like we were talking about.
Yeah, and if you're like a 9-10 rated player who can throw 350 or 400, you're going to help someone who has never played disc golf before. So I totally understand. Like there's value there. Like you're going to make them at least to what you are, and maybe you could even get them farther just in theory, right? But
yeah, this is a topic that I'm sure you can tell. Like there are so many thoughts that I have about this that I don't even know how to like put them together into like a concise thought that I even understand yet.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, if you said that you had a long answer,
Ben,
so
you
please
share, and then I can share about my opinion as well.
All right, you got to keep your opinion though, Jamie.
Yes,
okay.
I will.
Because we're real here at Funsie. Y'all are wrong. No, I'm just kidding. So here's my opinion. I agree with the sentiment of Sajko, like overthrow and like slingshot, or I don't even know any other coaches. But also, like I've taken Robbie C. I've taken things from everything to put into my form. and that's kind of the route I think I would go personally. Is like, yes, like overthrow is my favorite, and I listened to them when I was first developing my form. That was probably like my go-to. But if I watched a slingshot video and it made sense and it clicked something to me that like it didn't make sense in overthrow, I think that's important. You kind of just gotta feel it. It's like I said, it's a feeling. Like these guys could say like, you know, you gotta whip the fly or swat the fly, and you're like, that doesn't make sense to me. And then another person says like, no, it's like elbow, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. So just because someone says something in their head doesn't mean they're actually doing it. Like
yeah, feel versus real, baby.
Yeah. So that's a huge thing. You got to take it from me, in my opinion, a bunch of different sources. I took stuff from Ezra Aderhol. I took stuff from Gannon Burr. Simon has some cool clinics. Eagle has some cool clinics. I took stuff from Overthrow, Slingshot, Robbie C, Jesse from Trash Panda. You know that was his first big video, how to throw. So I think it's you just had to try everything, which is what I did, and then through that kind of be like, okay, this makes sense, and do that, and then maybe eventually that isn't my favorite part. Is like what I thought I was doing isn't actually what I was doing, and I didn't realize it until like 6 months later. I was like, okay, my thought of why I was doing this isn't the real reason. It's because my actual left hand's coming in. That's why I'm able to get that lag. It wasn't because I'm putting my wrist a certain way. I'm just making up things. These aren't real things. But I think whatever helps you the best. As opposed as to further answer Jay Millie's question, how do you feel about these coaches that, you know, they shoot 9-10, and I feel great about them. I think they do a lot of studying, like Coach Chris Taylor's another good one. There's another one, a European one that works with Overthrow. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. And they study, and that's their job. Rather, as opposed to playing disc golf, that's their job. And I think they're studying pro athletes, and I think they have more of a scope of what's going on than us players would, because that's rather than them playing, they're studying. And I can just give you examples. Bill Belichick. Do you think he could go throw and play wide receiver? Greg Popovich for the Spurs. Jason Kidd. I mean, yeah, he was he was a nasty ball player, but he probably, I guess that's a bad example. Jason Kidd. I was trying to relate to the Dallas Mavericks, but I'm just saying there's some coaches out there that probably could not play their sport that they coach, but they're at the top of the game because they study and they know. And I think that's way more important than actually performing. Because I think, like I said, I think it is because if you know so these coaches that we talk about in disc golf aren't not like playing disc golf. They're not like, I'm not gonna focus on my form. No, I know Josh and Mikey. Like Mikey's like can bomb, and he's like, we're always working on his form. Josh is too, and but I'm just saying, if they play a 930 rated round, I'm not gonna think, oh, they suck. I think their knowledge is way more than their play. I mean, I feel like Bill Belichick, Greg Pop, the list goes on and on. It's the knowledge of the game, of the sport, of the form that matters way more than actually what they can do. Bill Belichick's 40-yard dash is probably like 12. Couldn't care less. Great coach.
He's also 70 years old, but
yeah, so that's a good compare. It doesn't matter how old.
My opinion is I don't think that analogy works at all.
How does it not work?
Because it's different. So when it comes to football is a performance sport. You have to be in tip-top shape. You have to like be able to catch a ball. Like it's not the same, because a coach for football is controlling 11 people on the field. I could
give a coach for anything.
It's just not the same. No coach is like Greg Popovich isn't going to each player and being like, here's how you need to change your shooting form. Like maybe a small way, but it's not the same thing. A better example would be like Lethal Shooter, if you guys know who he is. He's an NBA like shot coach. And like at the same time, like he's a good shooter. And like he played at the collegiate level and could probably make an NBA team for shooting. And so, in my opinion, if you're coaching form all the time, especially like guys that overthrow, I've actually never watched an overthrow video, or maybe one or two. I just don't like form very much, as you guys can tell.
You can tell.
But like they're working on their form, and I think that's a good idea. But to me, in the disc golf coaching space, the way it's seemed so far is they're saying this, like, this is how it feels to me, is I think this might work. And instead of saying, I think this might be it, or I think this might work, it's this is how it is, work on this. And that is just the feeling that I've gotten from some of the videos I've seen before. Like, this one tip will change your whole game.
Well, that's you also know the YouTube algorithm. That's
that might
clickbait,
be just clickbait.
You know, that's like
well,
that's exactly what we do.
Yeah, it's clickbait. But I watched the video, and then they're talking about this one tip that is 100% certain.
Yeah, they're talking in absolutes, and that's not how science works.
Yeah, and so my general opinion, I think coaches are good. Like there's definitely tips and things that at a base level are going to help, and if anything might just give you more confidence, which is a huge part of disc golf. But at the same time, like I think our sport has already become so oversaturated with people like trying to give tips and tricks and trying to coach people at the sport of disc golf, when honestly I don't think a lot of this stuff has truly been studied enough or figured out to a level that it should be. Like I was talking recently to someone that was like, there's a million things out there, like you mentioned earlier, like swat the fly, pull the elbow through, whatever the tip is. I don't know. Like I think those are good mantras, but I think the person who is giving the advice should understand the science behind it. Like, why is swatting the fly going to add distance? Is it because you're going to get more whip in your elbow? Like, which muscle is being affected by that? Which muscles should we train to throw farther? You know, like I think that there should be more studying and more research into disc golf form before people can talk in the absolutes that
that's
they do.
Exactly that's exactly what I'm saying. That, you know, they study why that's the reasoning, and I think that's why it's important. That's exactly what I was saying. Why they are. It doesn't matter what because they are studying why does that.
Sorry,
I was going to say I think it is difficult being in their position in terms of like someone like overthrow. I at least appreciate that when they put something out there in the world where it's like, okay, like do this, and this is like how you should do things. And Joshua at least recognize and be like, this is what I used to say, but then over time I've figured that this is working better. So I at least appreciate acknowledging that what you're saying, that you're like, okay, maybe that wasn't quite it, but what I've found is this. Because I mean, that man is out there working with a lot of students. I mean, simultaneously, self-help is a business. Like we can't like really forget about that. But someone like overthrow, anyways, I feel like is at least approaching it in a manner that I feel like you should approach a topic like that.
I don't think they say this is it. They're like, you know, could help you. But like Coach Chris Taylor is a good example. He's an older gentleman.
Who is that?
Plastic. He's the guy that you know,
he's the top throwing coach for people like
for distance. He attaches like these video game things like you see in 2K to people and gets their whole analysis, and he probably can't throw over, I don't know, he definitely can't do 400.
He's helped David Wiggins like a lot over the years.
Yeah, see how they're all attached? Oh my goodness. And so then he gets so he doesn't need to be able to throw because he gets the study of, and that's him like talking about like how David Wiggins alpha form.
I think it's almost like being a scientist and like studying people and like why some people can live for a long time and what it takes to live for a long time. Like being a scientist, you may understand what it takes to do those things and to live for a long time, but you may not necessarily follow those things yourself or be able to like do those things. Like,
Yeah.
sure, there is a disconnect, but I think someone has to like study those. And sure, it's great when it's coming from a pro, but at the same time, there's like the disconnect between being able to like communicate that with people. And I think these individuals that are coming in are trying to do their best to create that connection, because there obviously is a demand for it. And when I was talking about earlier, like I think Ben said it well. Sure, you should like take from what everyone is saying, but if you are choosing to pay, like some people pay to have like a coach, then you should just listen to what they're doing, is what I was trying to say. Like you can't, you're already
Correct.
committed
Yes,
to this one person.
That's where my head went. If you are like physically, I was gonna say that because if you're just watching on YouTube, take whatever. But if you're physically like paying for a coach, don't go to Overthrow and pay and then another one. Like just stick with the one that you are actually like paying and talking to, and they're analyzing your form for like they're looking at your form and telling you about it. I agree with that. You shouldn't be switching coaches if you're like if they're analyzing your form and telling you. But I'm saying if it's like YouTube, I was talking more the YouTube space where it's like how to brace. Obviously, watch all the how to brace your videos and then try everything and then see what one clicks.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
I
like
love
going
this
like
episode.
that's like choosing a doctor and then going to them and being like they're like, "Oh, I think you should eat like these things." And you're like, "No, I don't think I should actually. I think I should be doing these things." And it's like, "But then why did you come to me then? Like you could go to any other doctor that believes."
Then you find a different if you're like, "Okay, this isn't helping." Then you could find. But I agree.
Don't get me wrong though, Josh. Like I get what you're saying, because if they can't get results themselves, you're like,
well,
how can I trust what you're saying if you're not
in
able
the gym,
to do it?
They're not focusing because they're coaches. They're not focused on being the player as much.
Well, I think their time goes into that, right? Instead of otherwise they'd be out, doing that and trying to compete, and like that takes more time. You only have so much time, I suppose. And
correct.
I don't know.
I agree, and a lot of the stuff you guys have said, I don't disagree. I think coaches are invaluable to the sport. There needs to be disc golf coaches so people can get better. And I think that there can be disc golf coaches who are 9-10 rated and still help coach someone to 1050. Like I agree. I think the underlying point I'm trying to make is I think that there's a lot of coaches that treat it like I think it's oversaturated, and I think there's a lot of people that are quote unquote coaches who are like, how do I get the most views on my video? I need to post a new coaching video this week. What should I post about? And then speak in absolutes. And I think there's a lot of people right now who are just trying to get clicks, trying to make money. And like you said, self-help is inherently a business. And I understand that. I just think that there needs to be a deeper devotion to the craft of coaching. Like I think, I mean, I don't know a ton about Overthrow. Like I said, I haven't really watched any of the videos.
I think everything you're talking about is non-Overthrow. I think Overthrow is like kind of like the opposite of what you're talking about. But anyways, keep going.
And I think what they're doing is like, it sounds like what they're doing is correct. Like coaching a ton of people. Yeah. Like, as they go on being like, oh, what we said a year ago is incorrect. This is what's actually correct. I'm realizing now. But when it turns into like, oh man, like there's no tip that I recently came up with, but we have to post a video this week. I'll just repackage this old tip. Well, I guess that's not as bad. But like coming up with something that like is not actually something they believe in. Like I just think that there's a lot of coaches who are just trying to make money. They're not actually being coaches.
Yeah, but how many
there,
coaches?
There will always be that in every single aspect of life, unfortunately.
Totally.
I know of like 4 coaches. You must be like watching like amateurs.
No, there's quite a few. But okay. I think I think what's happening is we're taking information from the internet, and this is like going to get worse and worse, I think, as time goes on. Like not even in just coaching and like what information is true, but even just like your daily news outlet. Like wherever you choose, like a lot of people just we're not going to make this political, but like there are people that just like will go on like a social media outlet and read something and be like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's what it is. Like that's what the current knowledge is that came out today. And it's like, that might not be accurate. I think the same thing
True.
applies to, like coaches. Like anyone that has a camera and access to YouTube can like make a
Say
video
they
and
know
then
the tip.
upload it.
Yeah.
So it's up
I
to
agree.
you, the viewer, to like decide what is accurate and what
Yeah.
is not.
I agree with that with like people that aren't coaches and just like maybe throw like 350 like this tip just to get views. But I think we're kind of running in circles because we're not really Jamie Lee's not really saying which 100% agree with. Like we don't want to call anyone, but Jamie Lee's, I don't know the coaches Jamie Lee's talking about, and I'm thinking like in my head like overthrow. So and like Coach Chris Taylor and all these other coaches that I've like got. So like I think that's why, but I think I can 100% vouch for overthrow. I don't think maybe their things are don't apply to some people, but I don't think they're like doing what you describe as in like, okay, we gotta post this. Like
No,
that's
no.
it's his
I don't
full time
get-
job.
I don't
I'll
get
just
that
go out
feeling.
and I'll go on and say that he has every day he has students that he spends an hour with FaceTime just like this, where they're throwing into a net and he says, okay, you're not doing this right. Try this. So that's why it's like, so yeah, I think, but I think at the end of the day, we can come to this conclusion. It depends on the coach. Obviously, some
Right.
people are doing it for the right reasons. Some people aren't. And I think at the end of the day, you got to pick and choose who you want to listen to.
Yeah. I think
You,
it boils down to just be wary of who you're trusting for your form. Like if you're watching a YouTube video of this one tip will add 100 feet to your disc golf game and it has 50 views and the guy has 5 subscribers,
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
not trust that as much as maybe like Ben saying overthrow. And I'm a little bit cynical, like we've talked about all episode. I am not like a form god. I got to my form by just throwing a lot
And I think
just
Mhm.
doing it,
I
being athletic.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think I here's the thing, Jamie Lee. It's funny you said that because I think a big part of it is being athletic, but some people are not naturally athletic, and I think that's
Me.
where the coaches really help because they can get them into that. Because I played sports all my life, a lot of things translate over. It was easier to get the brace. Like I don't even understand how people can't brace. It doesn't make a comprehensive sense to me. But that's
I don't
because
even know what a brace is.
you do it. Where it's
Okay,
like
cool.
you like stop on your lead foot and your left foot's up and then you whip it out and then rotate. That's the brace. Like kind of like that part where you're like kind of like your lower body stopped while your thing and then it rotates. That's how you get distance. But I think coaches are super valuable for people like, that aren't maybe as athletic or like beginners. I think you can really kind of surpass that level if you're committed enough, surpass that level to get to that where you want to be quicker by listening to these. You don't have to pay. I think I paid for one form review one time, and like everything else is just me just like learning and doing it myself. And I think it helps, but at a certain point there's a time where you just stop listening to these coaches. So the coaches are for, in my opinion, a certain time in your life, in your career. And then once you have your form, like AB, Gannon Burr, like these pros that are like 1,000 rated plus, unless there's a certain point, I guess I shouldn't say it, I shouldn't say, I guess you could always find something valuable, but there is a certain point where you should just like stick. If a coach says like, oh no, you got to get the elbow more, that might like hurt you even more. So there's a certain point I think if you're in that beginner stage to like let's say like 700 to like 980, I don't know, but once you get more comfortable, once you find your form that's more comfortable, it's like maybe one tip will help, but you shouldn't be looking like, okay, how do I do this, 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 because at that point when you're that good, it's kind of like Eric Oakey is a perfect example. Josh from Overthrow, says he does everything correct, even though it looks weird, and that he wouldn't. And Eric himself has admitted, like, yeah, I don't. It works, and I know there's things I could change, but I don't want to change it because that'll just literally break him and make his like game even worse. And it wouldn't be worth that 5-year rebuild it would take to get back to like where he was by like trying new form, because it's so ingrained in his body. And that's something Josh says, like, yeah, don't change it. You do all the right things that are required, like the pull through and the brace, and it wouldn't be valuable, but it might be more valuable to someone who's like first starting their journey. I keep doing this when I'm done my topics. I think I'm gonna keep doing it.
Dude,
okay, this was really long. I don't know, like, where we should go from this, Sajko. We should probably.
That was an hour and a half of shenanigans.
Yeah, we should probably just head straight to Crockle. Right? Any disagreements?
Dude, I guess so.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know. You're the one. I can do it too.
What, are you talking about, like the being the number one course, or?
Yeah. Just let's talk about the Open real quick, and then we'll talk about the number one course and get into that.
I didn't actually watch any coverage. I followed it, but we did see that Ricky Wysocki won MPO and didn't just win; he like annihilated the field, which is cool to see. And it's not like it was some baby boy field; like players were out there.
Maybe it's like Europe Ricky. It's not Europe Paul now. It's Europe Ricky.
Like bucket hat Ricky. Now we got Euro Ricky.
Ooh,
he's a different breed.
The European Open field, pretty much. I don't know. They should probably. Most of them should be over there by now. But, yeah, Ricky won.
And then Kristin Tata, as the disc golf guy likes to say, she won. She came out and she won FPO. It's her first tournament back, and she put her money where her mouth is. You had Silva that was like there, and that was kind of like what was interesting about it to me is I think they were tied after second round, but I don't think. Yeah, I didn't watch. I just saw like some clips, but it looked like Silva was kind of struggling a little bit off the tee.
They were tied after the second round. So Silva was up early, and then Kristen tied it up, and then Kristen just took it away. And so I think that's a topic we should at least focus on for a little bit. We'll get to the course more because I feel like that's important. But Kristen coming back, and seemingly, it's pretty. She didn't like dominate, but she sort of dominated the field, and just did her consistent thing, Kristen. And it's good to see her back. I don't really. It's just like to go from kind of an injury to right back where you left off. It's pretty impressive. If you guys have any opinions and thoughts on that, I mean, it's so hard because it's like Kristen Tatar. Like, what new storyline is there that
that's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, now is it surprising?
Wins
no,
all the time.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not at all.
Dude, I think it's pretty crazy because, I mean, not to throw anyone under the bus, but it seems like a lot of times when someone has an injury, and granted, maybe hers wasn't as serious as like a throwing arm injury. Or
yeah,
it
was
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It wasn't that serious at all.
But like a lot of times when someone has an injury, it takes a long time. Like when they come back, it's not just a win or like a good placement, like take Paul, for example, like he's still like, he kind of found it a little bit like this last event. I think he was like top 5 or top 10 or something. And like, he's had some good finishes, but we expect Paul to win and he hasn't won yet. And, but the narrative is he was injured. And I think it's a very
yeah, because his was
valid
like more of
narrative.
Shoulder.
Yeah,
ripped.
yeah, very valid. And like,
dude, look at Paige Pierce.
Maybe, yeah,
that was the one that I thought was like way more, not than Paul, but just like than Kristen, like super impressive. I think it was a year ago this weekend that she ended up like breaking her ankle.
It was at Europe, or it was in Europe.
So to come back from that, like we talked about briefly, like months ago at this point. To be able to trust the thing that you just walk on daily and you don't even think about, I can't even imagine. Like, never mind, like pushing off of it for a disc golf throw for power.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you walk over a bridge ever again and not be skeptical that you're gonna slip?
But yeah, like That's what I'm saying. It took her a little while too. I just think it's very impressive. She comes back and like essentially this is her first event back, right? And
yes.
Yeah, and she wins. Like she's the GOAT, like one of the best. I mean, okay, I won't say the GOAT yet. She still maybe has a little bit. But like in my opinion, having any injury, even though it wasn't super disc throwing related, I think it's very impressive that she comes back and just wins. Like the mentality to be able to do that. Like winning even when you're in the momentum swing of the tour, like you like need a few events to win sometimes. So I think it's very, very impressive. Very high props to her. Good job.
Yeah, well, the big storyline for this weekend was like, is Kristen Tatar still gonna be like doing the thing? And Silva won like 5 events in a row. So to see it come down to the 2 of them, I mean, that's just
pretty cool.
Poetry writing itself.
Yeah, scripted.
Yeah, this was planned. This is some BS.
DGPT scripted. Sajko yellow.
Yeah, I suddenly got, for listeners, my screen is much more yellow currently. I don't know what the deal is, but we're gonna work. Okay, all right.
Dude, what is happening?
He's
what just happened? Sajko, you okay? You look a little sick over there. You good, bro?
Is there really much to talk about with Ricky? Otherwise,
yeah, I could probably
because I'm like thinking about Krokl. But yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, I'll just briefly. Ricky won, dominated. I mean, it's Ricky Wysocki. The field is much more competitive. He's still top in the world, but he's not like the top guy as he once was.
But this is his second win this year.
Second win. So
and pretty recently too. So
yeah, he did win just this Sunday.
No, the other one was recent too. Like he's turning it on.
Yeah, I was at the preserve. I know. I was just joking. But yeah, it's good to see him winning, and that he's like, you young guns ain't got nothing on me. I'm still here. But yeah, we can move the Krokl.
Have people ever mistaken you guys for like looking like a certain disc golf pro before? Because I've gotten when I have a hat on, which is most of the time, and I've like shaved.
Wait. We have to guess.
Okay, I've got 2. Oh my goodness, dude.
Yo,
you're frozen.
I'm just frozen like that? That's some BS, bro. I hate this. I'm just gonna sip my orange juice right now.
Okay.
How
for listeners, Sajko's screen is frozen.
Can you unfreeze it by any chance?
Dude, I have no idea what's happening right now. What kind of technology? Am I right, brother?
It's on your end, so you gotta maybe leave.
On my end, bro.
No, it's on your end. Like I can't do anything.
Rip.
So leave and come back is what I'm saying.
Okay, well, my guess for who Sajko looks like. Who is my guess for? I don't know. Do you have one, Ben?
Dude, I want to say maybe like Chris Dickerson, just like the beard.
I want to say like I almost want to say Big Germ.
Maybe? Actually, I'm gonna go Tristan Tanner.
No, not Tristan. It could be.
Tristan has a shaved head and has a beard.
I'm gonna. I mean, I feel like he's gonna say Ricky because we're talking about Ricky.
Sajko's back, so
I want to say Ricky.
Okay,
I mean, I might also go Big Germ.
I'll go Tristan Tanner or Chris Dickinson. I'll go Chris. Chris. Makes more sense. Frick.
There we go. I think we're good now.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
Who is it?
Yeah,
I'm never.
So I've somehow, this one I don't quite understand. I've gotten Eagle McMahon like multiple times.
What?
On the course. Crazy, right?
When your beard is shaved?
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, Frank, we should have let you finish. That's what you were trying to say. I thought you were gonna say the players. You were saying when my beard shaved. Dang it.
Yeah, like when I would shave my beard, and I used to wear like clear frames, so maybe it was that.
I don't think I've seen you with your beard shaved.
Yeah, you haven't shaved it.
It was shaven.
In a blue moon.
Dude, I just shaved it like down to like stubble like a month ago or something like that. You guys don't remember?
You still had stubble, right?
Yeah, but it's still mostly. I'm not gonna, dude. I can't full shave it.
I feel like I remember.
At that point, I would just shave off my eyebrows and look like a complete egg. The other one is Ricky Wysocki. Ben actually ended up sending me like a funny notification before, where in his phone it was like, "Are these two people the same?" And it was Ricky Wysocki and my face.
Yeah, Google AI trying to put a Sajko thing together.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. My Polish brethren.
Wysocki.
But did you guys give answers? Sorry, I couldn't. I had my dilemma.
Yeah,
accidentally.
I said Eagle McMahon, and he said Ricky Wysocki, so we got it.
Amazing.
No, I said Chris Dickerson.
Oh,
he did say Ricky though, so
I love it.
Point to Josh.
So did you guys? We can get back over to Krokel.
Let's wrap it up with the Croc.
Yeah, with the Crocster A. Did you guys enjoy? Because I saw like clips, and I did try watching like a few holes of it. Did you enjoy the course really? Because maybe this people are like going to disagree with me, but I thought the course looked absolutely beautiful, but I thought it played kind of boring.
From like, what I saw, it like I kind of agree. Like what it says, it's the number one course in the world. I looked at it, and it looked beautiful, but it didn't look. I don't know. Like I was like, well. And like the iconic hole that everyone posted was just like, I don't know.
No, dude, completely, completely agree. So I did like a little investigating because multiple people kept saying that, where it's like that's like the clickbait, like playing the number one disc golf course in the world right now. And actually, because as people know, like Maple Hill was number one for a while, and then as of this year, in terms of UDisc, the top 3 courses are now European courses, and Maple Hill is number 4, which is the top United States course on that list, followed by Brewster up in Vermont. So I guess we're somewhat lucky up here in New England.
Yeah,
it's interesting though, but that's based on the 5-star rating that you give a course when you're done with it, right?
Yeah, it's literally only
and like there's just been multiple times where like I enjoyed a course. Like sometimes I'll just give it 4 stars. I don't know. Like it feels so ambiguous.
Oh, we're gonna get into that, man.
That's
such a long conference. I don't know if we can do that. Actually, that's gonna be such a.
Should we talk about it next week?
We'll talk about it now. We'll just do it. It's fine.
We'll go into it right now. Go ahead.
Here's my thing. So yes, it is. I read the requirements on UDisc. It's based on UDisc ratings, but also they also monitor it to make sure. Like it's actually a destination course, and they don't allow pitch and putts and stuff like that. Or like if it's a local course that has like 5 stars, I'm pretty sure it was saying has a higher rating, but the other course is makes more sense to be like higher up. That would make I'd have to read that again. But anyways, I'll come back to you on that. But here's the thing, I love Maple Hill, and it is the best course to me, and I think it deserves it. But I think the weight of it being those ratings, because like you were saying, it's really what it has to come down to is, my opinion, population density. If there's more people there and it's a beautiful course, there's going to be more 5 stars. So I think we need a real, and I'm not saying UDisc is bad. I think it is. I think they're like Smugs. I think it's valid, and I think they cured it. But I think the coolest thing if we had an actual person, like their job was to go to all these courses and actually rank them with criteria of not based off of. And I know it's like one person, maybe that's not the best, but maybe a committee or something where they rank with criteria.
I think a weighted poll from the players would be a good way to go about
from the
it.
players, I like that.
That could be cool.
Yeah, like a weighted, like they, like you said, give criteria, and then they go through and are like, oh yeah, this had good T signs and it's a fun layout, and I think UDisc is trying to do this. I mean, I'm sure you guys have noticed, but like when you rate a course, you can rate a ton of aspects. But in all honesty, it's hard.
Seem like it makes a difference.
It doesn't feel like it makes a difference, but also at the same time, it's hard because you almost want the top rated course to like the weight to be primarily on how fun it is playing it, or like
Dude.
the actual layout of the course. Like, yeah, the amenities are nice when there's a good
I think
tee
beauty
sign
has a
or
big part to do with it as well.
Yeah,
I think
for
that's
sure.
a
I think for
huge
Pro
thing.
Cole, I think that's what people, because like you see the work that has gone into those tee
Yeah,
pads
it was
and like
beautiful.
the elevated areas. I mean, it's immaculate. But I think I've been telling like my buddies lately. I think it's very misleading. Like, how many times have you guys gone to a course and it's rated like 4.2 and you play it and you're like, yeah, it was good, but it's like that might be like a little
That's the
generous.
that's the thing with disc golf in general.
or
Like,
4.2, that's a 5 as well.
Or even
in my
low rated
opinion.
ones that you go and you're like, this is actually cool. Like, why is this place not getting any love?
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that's the
I-
thing.
I was gonna say, I almost feel like there should be like a couple different rating systems where a lot of times I'll play a course and it's like, okay, how good is this course? Maybe for like the first one, and then the second one maybe is like, how much do you enjoy it? And that's like a different rating. Because I personally have courses that I recognize are really, really good, but I don't necessarily have fun at them as much as like some other courses. Do you guys like? Does that resonate with you guys or no?
Definitely, because like I mentioned earlier, I like courses that I can score on.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I played the Beast, I was like why do people like this? And now I can score on the Beast, and it's
I
a
was
really
about to
fun
say,
course
like, I
for
feel
me.
like that's the most scoreable course on the Pro Tour, right?
Yeah, but not as a beginner.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, not as a beginner. But it is interesting, yeah, because there's just a ton of factors. Like, I didn't love the Beast, but now I would like it.
Oh,
So
you haven't played it
yeah.
since?
I've played. Well, I guess I haven't played it in like a year or so, but I played it a little while ago and I really liked it. So
But okay, I was gonna say, does that always stay in your brain of like, man, I just don't really like this place, even though I like played better? But yeah, you answered the question.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like trying to think of examples that like won't necessarily like hurt people's feelings.
This is the thing I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is I think disc golf's still in a weird spot. Like, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, which is valid. But I'm saying, like, even as a course casual, like, if I actually thought a course was the one, personally, I'd probably give it like a 3 on UDisc. I'm not that. I don't
And
want to be
that's what's
that mean.
difficult.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Everyone interprets these like completely different, and I think a lot of times it's either like maximum 5 stars or like 1 star, or yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can really ever solve that issue. I don't have the answers. I assume you guys don't have the answers.
UDisc rankings has to be a part of it, the ratings, but I think there has to be more. But I will say that UDisc says all courses are subject to the same metrics. Oh wait, no. 2024's world's best disc golf course rankings are based on a methodology that applies more weight to recent reviews and helps identify which courses with excellent but relatively few ratings are true destinations rather than just local phase. Always interested in improving, we work to enhance how well this year's ranking system accounts for the wide range of experience behind disc golfers' course ratings. And then they said, notably due to this methodology, some courses that have a higher average ratings in the UDisc courses directory may be ranked below courses with lower average ratings due to the rating norms in the different regions and other factors. See, so it is true that sometimes if it's lower ranked UDisc wise, like 5-star wise, it might be higher than one that's a little higher ranked, just because they do a little more factors. But I feel like there needs to be more factors.
Right. I mean, that was also a very like non-answer answer that you just ended up reading. I feel like it didn't like really describe like what they were, the methodology. It's like, what does that mean?
A lot of corporate jargon.
Yeah, that completely was what it was. And it's kind of like deflecting, where it's like, it's not our opinion. It's not our opinion. You can't get mad at the list. Like, we didn't. This is just like
but
what the
right
system
now it's
says.
the list we go by. It's the list.
I know.
So
well, like a perfect example is, like my sister's been learning disc golf and taking her to Maple Hill. She enjoyed it, but then we went to go play Webster Fishing Game, which is like 20 minutes away from there, something like that.
Yeah, like 30,
and she loved that. That might be her favorite course right now. And of
course,
like she is still like more so like a novice beginner, but that's still like a valid opinion. Like maybe you just should take that into account. Like a person could be like, yeah, I would consider myself this skill level, so that like when you see a review or a comment that someone leaves, it kind of it kind of says like, okay, this is like what this person's skill level is and their opinion based on that. Like that could probably help. I know like now they started doing on UDisc where it says what layout they played based on their opinion. Yeah, no, maybe.
Sorry, I'm looking at the rankings. What layout they played? What do you mean?
Well, I think it's helpful
when
because
they
like
rate,
places,
it shows what layout they played. Okay.
Yeah, it shows what layout they played, but
Sorry.
maybe like people can say
that.
like what skill level they are or something like that. Like when they give a rating, I think that's like a very helpful, valid thing.
Yeah, and then
take into account.
Yeah, it could show like, oh, beginners like this course, or I feel like there is a level to that with like people commenting and reviewing, but yeah,
very reactionary.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
like if you look in the comments, they're like, okay, so personally, a course that I haven't played near me is Devon's, which is I think like a little bit north of Meadowbrook, which is like a pretty well recognized course around here on an apple orchard, and very, very hilly. And the one time that I tried to play it, dude, I work outside for a living, like in swamps, and I don't think I've ever seen more mosquitoes in my life.
Goodness.
We were getting so annihilated. I'm like, dude, did I just like stumble upon like a military like bunker of like test subjects?
Oh my
like
goodness.
What is happening? You've never seen more mosquitoes in your life.
It's the worst. Dude, I was going insane. It was like hundreds of mosquitoes.
That's not an exaggeration.
Not an exaggeration.
I tried playing and I had to leave.
I had to leave as well after like hole like 12. I was just like, I was literally going insane.
You got to 12? I got to like hole 4, and I was like, I'm out.
I might have finished now that I think of it, but
You're
I remember
crazy.
being like maybe it was at hole 12. I remember just like freaking out, like kind of going insane. Like there was just like in your dreams when there's like creepy crawlies over you. That's how.
My father-in-law was like, when he was like in front of me, you would just see a cloud of bugs following him. But my point in saying that is, can you like really base the course? Like, would you apply that to your overall score of the course? Like, yes or no? It's hard not to, because that's like, it's part of your experience. And like, that's the reason that I don't go there. But it's not necessarily the course's fault per se, because the course, I'm pretty sure the course is like really good.
Hard.
It's like over 4 point whatever rated.
There's like,
it's
interesting because mud is a huge factor when you're playing disc golf. And so if you play a good course when it's muddy, it's hard to like rank the course well. Like I remember experiences where we played a course and I was like, oh, that would have been fun if it wasn't so muddy. And all my friends agreed. And then we like ranked it like a 3 or something. And then I looked back on it. I was like, wait a second, should I be doing that? You know, like, what if it dries up?
Everyone rates differently. Like look at flight numbers. Like every company rates their flight numbers completely different. Like personally, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say like personally, like my experience with flight numbers, like if you throw like a trilogy disc, they usually fly flippier.
Bro, we're on the same wavelength today, Sajko. We like literally everything you say is what I'm about to say. I was literally about to say the trespass and the destroyer is same flight numbers.
Could not be more different.
Like opposite. It's like in Innova terms is like the trespass. I meant the destroyer versus the roadrunner or sidewinder or something. Rolo.
Are you saying trilogy's more?
I feel like their flight numbers are more so catered, I think, to like a beginner arm speed. Or not beginner, but like MA2 or something
Noodle
like that.
armor.
Where you go over to like, I feel like a lot of times MVP plastic, man, it's like more stable than it claims to be.
That's because of like
that's definitely the way you want to lean.
It's a little harder and not as domy. That's why. Like when they come out with
because of gyro, actually.
Yeah, freaking idiot.
Well, actually,
so
actually get the flick out of here, blow.
I don't know if you guys tried.
Shut up, nerd.
Their fission time lapse, which is like that's more of their like kind of like in of a star closer to it, and it's super fluidy. But their regular time lapse is not. So it's like regular plastic is like super.
I wanted to say this. I wanted to mention this because I had no one else to tell it to. So the Maple Hill used rack, absolute gems. I mean, if you ever go to Maple Hill, any listeners, please hit that used rack,
bro.
No, dude, hit it up. It is disgusting how good it is. But on there, I had never bought a time lapse previously. I saw a brand new one. I assumed maybe it was just like in the back, and they're like, let's just throw it on the rack. It was $10. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna grab that so I can try it. I grabbed that, and I grabbed like a really old DJI Hurricane because I've never thrown one. People say that it's like a beat up force, and normally I would think the Hurricane would be the one that would flip, and the time lapse would be a beefcake. It was the complete opposite. Dude, the time lapse flips up, and the Hurricane, it flies like a Venom or something. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, really. But it was cool. I mean, it makes you feel good. Where I'm like, dude, I'm turning that Neutron time lapse. Come on now.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I know they're not all like that. I know it's like different colors.
It is interesting. Yeah, I mean, we could dive into this, but it really all boils down to like how the plastic cools. It's not necessarily like what I guess it is kind of what the plastic is, but like depending on how it cools outside of the mold is how stable it'll be. Like, will it raise the parting line, lower the parting line? It's interesting. It's a really interesting
Should that
topic.
be a discussion next week? Because we're 2 hours in right now.
Yeah, next
I think
week.
that could be good. Like talking about, we could talk about like flight numbers and like differences between companies. And I had mentioned behind the scenes to these guys. Let us know if you guys would be interested in if we kind of went through like the top 5 manufacturers and just went through like each of the plastics that they offer and give like a tier list or something like that. Maybe that's kind of clickbaity. Maybe that's kind of clickbaity.
I like it.
But I think that would be fun because I've never seen anyone else do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because like I mentioned previously, I find ESP plastic slippery for my dry raisin hands. Although I will say, have you guys felt the new ESP blend plastic on the like first run drives?
No, they changed it.
It's new. It feels really good. So my opinion might change.
Slowly and slowly, you're becoming more like Joseph. He's taking over.
Wait, what do you mean?
Just joking. Because I feel like that's something Joe, owner of Another Round, that you guys always see on your Instagram, whether you follow disc golf or not. He's the disc golf guy wearing glasses. But I feel like that's something he would just say in a intro video. This dry plastic is.
Oh, like yeah,
and then he'd throw it and be like,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, please let us know if that's something you'd like to do, and maybe we could do that next week. Just be all about like flight numbers and plastics and whatnot. Just real nerd episode. But that kind of excites me to
Ben won't be
talk
here.
about. Oh, well, that's perfect. That knobs.
Yeah, that honestly is perfect. You guys go ahead. I mean, it's going to be the European Open, so you're going to have to cover that because it's a meter.
Dude,
but
maybe we each get like 2 chances or something like that, where like because we collectively have to choose where these go, and then maybe like we each get one where we can move it to our own tier that we're super passionate about, where it's like, no, this is going to F tier or whatever.
We should definitely do a tier list. I think we should make that like something we do like every few months for disc golf stuff. I think that tier list the pro players. That would not go well.
No one comes on ever.
Yeah, you put me in C tier. I'll never.
Yo,
be
Braden
on your
Sides S tier.
podcast.
Say that since he came
on. Yeah, we got to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, we're
alrighty. Thanks for joining, everyone, listening. I won't be here next week, but Sajko and J. Millie will. So enjoy that episode thoroughly. And thanks so much for tuning in. Rate us on Spotify, Apple. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe, please, if you're watching this on YouTube. And yeah, just shout out everyone that's helped us be here. Shout out J. Millie. Shout out Sajko.
Shout out Ben.
Thank you. And
Benny boy.
Yeah, let's keep this going. And
Funsie.
5 years. You guys got a 5-year contract. All right. Funsie.
Funsie. Did I do it right?
Yeah.
Funsie.
Yeah.
Adios.